White Sox fans, welcome into the Sox On Tap postgame show presented by On Tap Sportsnet. I'm Jonnie, joined by Sox Insane on this Wednesday afternoon. Besnick, how you doing, my friend?
Well, as usual, I'd be doing better with the Sox win, but what we saw out there today was pretty rough. But I guess I've got the rest of my night to do something else with the Sox out of the way.
Right, yeah, so I saw you sipping a little Modelo, a little bit of misery beers. Yeah, I see that, that's going to have to come into play a little bit here. I think I'm going to have to get to that in a little bit here to drown some of the sorrows, Besnick, because when I first go and look at this game, obviously White Sox dropped the series here. That's frustrating. They haven't won one all year, but you go and look at the way in which they lost this series finale 3-1 against the Minnesota Twins today, and the circumstances surrounding the team right now, it feels a lot like a 2022 loss. And that was something that we wanted to leave in the rear view and readjust and have different vibes. And it felt a little different for the first couple of weeks, but then the end results aren't getting us there. And then you have a loss like today, and it really piles on and makes me go back to that kind of dread. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It looked like a review of last year. I mean, we're going to have these road bumps where these guys are not in the lineup. We got three big bats missing in Tim, Yon, and Eloy, and usually someone has to step up and fill that void, but instead a circus breaks out. And that's what we saw today, and that's what we saw a lot last year.
Right. And, the issues that we're talking about here are gaffes in the field that are leading to runs against. And then to pile on top of that, compounding your issues is an offense that was scorching hot to begin the season. They left their bats in Pittsburgh, apparently, and they left them there from that Saturday night because they couldn't score in the last game of that series either. And then they bring them up here, and sure, they did win the series opener, but you're only scoring 4 runs there, 3 runs in the loss on Tuesday night, and then just 1 on a late, last minute kind of hashtag fake rally home run here. So that's really what's kind of getting at me, because I felt a little bit different when they were at least scoring runs. And it's like, okay, well, sure, you still got to put all facets of the game together. But now, I guess, sure, you could kind of point to, okay, well, I didn't have that facet of the game there. I know, like you mentioned, the guys that are out here, but it's frustrating when you can't push cross runs. So then we're going to have to go and break down every single missed opportunity here.
Yeah, I mean, when your 4 through 9 hitters go 3 for 22 with a single, a double, and a solo homer, that's not going to get it done. That's more than half of the lineup. None of our backups have stepped up to really produce and fill in any of these voids. You've got your whole bench out there pretty much. So those guys need to be stepping up, and they're not. I mean, there's no excuse for going 3 for 22. There's no excuse for some of these at-bats are just horrendous, where they're swinging early in the count, not driving up the other starters' pitch count. They're getting through these innings way too easily, letting them off the hook, swinging at bad pitches out of the zone. And that's why your offense is stagnant. And on top of that, this is a team that's not going to hit many home runs with the way the lineup is constructed. Even if everybody's healthy, it's still not the most powerful lineup that you'll see. So it's a big problem. Situational hitting has become a big problem. We keep stranding runners and letting people off the hook.
Right. And I think, when I talked about these missed opportunities, and you've summed it up perfectly, and kind of like the, what you got from 4 through 9, as you outlined, and also in your recap over at ontapsportsnet.com. Go and check that out if you haven't. But I kind of keep tabs of these throughout the game, because they're such, it feels like we have had so many struggles with these that each one has to be converted on. So I go and look at first, third, fifth, seventh, eighth, ninth, all scenarios in which you had a runner at least on base. And, as some of these come in early in the game, you hate to get down on yourself like, oh, this might be over like early. However, when you go and see, runners on, was that first and third to in the first inning, you're not able to convert on that. That gets frustrating on the third inning. It was first and second in the first and third in the third. Another one where Sheets isn't able to come through there. That one really stings, because earlier in the series, we saw someone, Hanser Alberto, make a gaffe in the field, but make up for it by coming through in a big spot. Gavin Sheets is not able to do that today, and I think that's where a lot of frustration is going to be directed at.
Yeah, he didn't really get it done at the plate. His at-bats are, I'll give him a little bit of leniency, because I've seen him have better swings and take more pitches than some of the other guys in the lineup. But today was not really one of those days. And then I don't even know what to call it. Little league shit, I think Tony likes to call it.
Little league bullshit, yeah.
Little league bullshit where he gets, I don't know, he lost the ball in the sun. I don't know. I didn't see any of the post game to see if they interviewed him and asked him what happened there, but he maybe loses the ball in the sun, gets turned around, ends up falling, gives up the triple, and then, Vaughn kind of bobbles the throw, and there's no throw to the plate for any chance of cutting down that first runner. Somehow Lucas Giolito got charged with an earned run there. I don't know why.
Right.
But yeah, rough day for Mr. Sheets. Sorry, Tony.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up in kind of like the comparison too, because Hanser Alberto's had his share of errors too here. And it's not that those should go excused, but it makes it makes your like plus minus feel a little different, right?
Right.
Like you had outlined on Monday's show when we talked about him making up for his gaffe. But tough day for Sheets. And like you said, the earned run there, they gave a triple to, was it Jeffers there? On that ball that went out to Sheets, and he straight up fell down. So like I get it.
I don't know how an error.
It happens sometimes, but you guys should probably rule that an error. At the very least, maybe a single in the advancement on errors. That's
right
where I would like rule if you are going to give them the credit for hitting the ball. Because I know scores have been soft. That's something that I've been kind of tough on. It's like, sorry, give these pitchers a little bit of leeway here when their fielders make a blatant mistake like that. But that's kind of where it started and snowballed. It actually kind of held for the most part early on in this part of the game, but the White Sox weren't able to convert on their opportunities, like I mentioned, with guys on base in the 5th, 7th, 8th there. And then the Twins get into our bullpen, and Aaron Bummer and it was Gregory Santos combining in the 8th to allow a couple of runs, both charged to Bummer, but Santos to give up the hit to get the second one across. And that one felt like the dagger, and it was, because the White Sox, all they could muster was a fake rally here. And even in the 9th, you talk about missed opportunities, man. You get the leadoff guy on. Yes, it's a single. And then Hanser Alberto grounds into a double play. And I get it. You do have a tough pitcher on the mound, but we've shown that we were able to get to him a little bit. And if we could have a couple guys on there, then maybe you're actually giving yourself a legitimate chance. After that is when Lenny Sosa hits the home run here. And Besnick, I hate to be so pessimistic about this, but I am not excited one iota about that. Some people are saying this can, help, if he's going to be in the lineup, this can help boost his confidence and, push him forward. Last year, if you recall, in the first game after Tim Anderson was out, Lenny Sosa came in and hit a home run, his first MLB home run. And after that, he performed so poorly that we need to pick up Elvis Andrus and, get him in there and have him go on a miracle run. So I hope it does boost the kid's confidence. But once again, I'm not going to get my hopes up.
No, I mean, it's hard to get your hopes up. I mean, before that, he was 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Awesome to get a home run off of such a tough closer. We've put Andrew Vaughn's home run against Aroldis Chapman a couple of years ago. That one went into the Hall of Fame of White Sox prospect big hits. I don't want to see that happen again. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't inspire a lot of hope. Sure, it's great, but again, that whole section of the lineup from 4 through 9 didn't get it done. That's just one hit. And Savala's double, I believe, came with 2 outs, and he advanced on a wild pitch to third, and there's 2 outs, but that's when you've got to come through in those situations. This team just doesn't have that clutch gene. We haven't seen it except for Hanser Alberto's 3-run a couple days ago.
Right. And I got a text today after that happened, and it made me kind of think of a question. There you go. Crack 'em. Need that. Elvis Andrus, we knew that he wasn't going to be the same level of what he was at the plate when he came over last year. Everybody expected that. There was no qualms about that. However, we thought he's a veteran guy. He should be able to step up in a few situations. It took him forever to get that hit number 2,000 this season. So he's off to it. That tells you how cold of a start he was off to. And since then, it feels like he's an automatic out. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we expected a regression from him. He played out of his mind last year when he came over to the White Sox when they picked him up off of waivers from Oakland. But it doesn't inspire any confidence, and he's booted a couple balls in the field too. A couple that he hasn't really fielded cleanly. I know he made an error the other day. So when you aren't doing at least that, you start to question the player's value. But again, you've got Lennon Sosa behind him, and we already said we're not too confident in him. So these guys just again, this feels a lot like last year. We're saying these things ad nauseum. These guys have to step up. These guys have to wake up the bats and get some offense going, because this pitching staff has done pretty well over the last stretch of 4 games.
Right. A couple of points on that, just building off what you just said there with the bats. We're hoping to see, little injury, tiny updates. That the hope is that Eloy and Yoan could possibly return this weekend. I think Yoan will go day to day, starting with the game Friday against Baltimore. So we'll see where that leaves him. But Eloy's first day that he could come back is Friday. So I am really just fingers crossed right now that happens and we get into our ballpark. That should be a launching pad. We obviously saw what it can be for the Giants. Should be for us. I'm hoping those bats get back in there and are able to blast the ball out of the ballpark. We're going to wrap up offense here and switch over to pitching, since you mentioned that. And we need to give kudos to Lucas Giolito. Huge bounce back from his rough start in Pittsburgh, gave up a career high 12 hits in that one. He goes 6 today, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run. Shouldn't have even been an earned run on him. 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. He looked dynamite and even battled through some adversity in the middle there.
Yeah, those first 2 innings, he cruised right through. I think he struck out 5 in the first 2, struck out the side in the first, ran into some trouble in the third and the fourth where he loaded the bases. But, a part of that was, Gavin Sheets's error and Andrew Vaughn bobbling the ball on the following play to not have a chance to get the runner at home. But Lucas looked good. I mean, when 4 out of your 6 innings are, you cruised through, and a couple you got into a little trouble, but you pitched over. I mean, you got to tip your hat to him. We have a lot of fun with Giolito and like to tease him a little bit on Twitter.com. But kudos to him today. He got the job done, and it was pretty cool to see him go back out there in the 6th. He went out there with 90 pitches. I thought his day was going to be done after the 5th, but he went out there and finished the inning, got the job done with 108 pitches. You love to see that.
Right. Yeah. And that wasn't where adversity crept. Like you said, it was in those other innings. And, the scary situation with Farmer getting struck in the face with the pitch. That was a scary spot. That's hard to come back and calm down afterward. But he only gave up 1 run in that inning. And like I said, that was, Gavin Sheets' fault. But let's put it where it is, the blame there. What I really like from Giolito today, though, able to ramp it up to 96 at a couple of moments. And then the location was excellent, especially in those first 2 innings when you're talking about him being able to wipe out hitters and just cruise through those innings with the slider he was painting. He was able to get the fastball where he wanted on a 2-strike count. And we've seen that not be the case in the past, and he's dependent on the changeup, and it would become too predictable. So I really liked seeing the mix up there. Obviously made market improvements from his outing last time in Pittsburgh. So
big time.
That was a positive here. Like, we once again feels like 2022. Got to put it all together here, because we'd have stretches where bats would go hot, pitching would be rough, and we've already seen it early on, vice versa, this far in the campaign. But we got to move on. Unfortunately, White Sox dropped 5-8, 3.5 back, yet to win a series. They'll look to change that this weekend when the Baltimore Orioles come to town. But it's not an easy task by any means. I remember the Orioles come in and sweep us in 4, or at least took 3 out of 4 when they came to the South Side last year. But we're going to be going Mike Clevenger versus Tyler Wells Friday night. Saturday will be Michael Kopech and Kyle Gibson, and Dylan Cease, Grayson Rodriguez for Sunday. Well, I have a little bit of hope here. Those returns possibly being imminent, like I mentioned, with Eloy and Yoan. And the White Sox are 5-0 in Cease and Clevenger starts this year.
I was going to bring up that stat. All 5 wins have come in Cease and Clevenger starts, and they're both going in this series. So we are primed to hopefully win our first series of the year here when the Orioles come to town. Young team, they play hard. Like you said, we saw it last year, the way they kind of snuck up on everybody. Nobody expected them to be as good as they were. 6-6 right now, currently down 3-0 to Oakland. I'm sorry, they're 6-5, already down 3-0 to Oakland. But But yeah, we're back at home. You love to see that. We've played 13 games and 10 of them have been on the road. So it's good to see the boys back in town and, a little bit of some positive vibes and maybe coming our way based on the pitching matchups and some of the bats returning to the lineup. So it'll be nice.
Some home cooking I think is much needed here. They have the off day too, and what I like about and this was funny because I did kind of rag it at the time. Steve Stone at the very end of the broadcast, right before they cut to the post game show, said the White Sox will get a much needed off day on Thursday before returning home for the weekend series. And I said it's 2 weeks into the season. We're talking about much needed off days already. Man, that was the thing that we were saying in like like June, July, like last year when they weren't able to pull it together and had a rough stretch. Unfortunately, that's just where we're at right now. But I do like this, and I will say because far too often I've seen them come home directly after a road trip, have to play the next day, and their adjustment day, you could tell with their families and the routine and everything, took place on the day of that game, and they weren't ready to go on that very first game home. So I do agree with Steve in that regard that
Yeah.
there is a much needed off day in between. Get your shit together. You're going to be at least home for what we got 6 days here with the Phillies coming in after the Orioles. So that at least does give me a little bit more hope. And hey, we'll have some of the boys out, some of the On Tap guys out at the games this weekend. Saturday will be a busy one out there, and then Sunday, a few stragglers will be hanging around too. You gonna be able to get out there?
I might be able to get out there on Saturday. A Saturday day game is like prime opportunity with my schedule. So high likelihood that I'm there in Lot B with you guys having some beers.
Yeah, I'm looking for, and there's a cool giveaway. I do like that 1993 American League West champion. That's a cool giveaway for Saturday. That kind of crew neck. Yeah.
Yeah, big time, kind of old school throwback 93. Obviously great year. Won the AL West, was the AL West back then for some of our younger listeners. And 9-year-old me was actually at the clincher when Bo Jackson hit the home run in that game against Seattle where they clinched. So hopefully that brings some more positive vibes because we absolutely need them.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling too. And when Baltimore came in last year, I'm just thinking about this because I was at one of those games too, like the Saturday game of that series, and it got ugly because they had already lost Thursday. Friday of that series was a 4-gamer on the weekend, and the vibes were just bad. It was like mid-June there, but a little bit earlier in here. Orioles aren't on as much of a tear, and I think people know a little bit more about them too. They aren't just coming up from the dead, the baseball dead, I guess you could say. That's where they ascended from last year. So you feel like you take it a little bit more seriously. And, some may just call him fourth starter, but I like what Mike Clevenger's brought to the mound so far this year, man. He wants the ball. He wants to be out there, and he has electric movement. So if he can locate alongside that, he gives you a good chance. And it's not a coincidence that they have won every start that he's been out there. Dylan Cease has been out there.
Completely agree. I mean, he has been our second best starter thus far after Cease. Some better outings here from Lance and Lucas, so hopefully they're coming around. But he's been on. He's gotten the job done, and like you said, 5-0 or 2-0 in his starts. So I feel pretty good about going in there after a day off, and hopefully Clevenger just shoves because we're going to need it. We're going to need it. The situational hitting has just been poor, and if we're not going to score runs, it's not going to matter. So hopefully he can shut it down.
Right, and we're hoping for these returns of Eloy Jimenez and Yohan Moncada. It's not guaranteed. It's not set in stone because Friday is just the first day that Eloy would be eligible to return, and that doesn't line up with their initial timeline when they said 2 to 3 weeks. Now I know he's been taking some batting practice and he's looked better, and Grifol said it's getting there, it's close with him. I really do hope it follows through, but I will also at the same time I am not going to hold my breath to see Eloy back in the lineup on Friday, but hopefully at some point this weekend series. So we'll just have to see how that goes. Stay tuned. OnTapSportsNet.com and the Sox On Tap Twitter account. We'll have all your updates there. But give me a couple final thoughts as we head into the weekend here. Anything from this past series looking forward, maybe a little perspective on where we're at right now.
We're 5-8. It's not looking great for these guys right now. We're 3.5 games behind the Twins. But it's a new day. We've got a little bit of a homestand here. Like we said, we need a little bit of home cooking. We need some of these guys. Somebody needs to step up, whether it's Romy or Sebi, Yaz. One of these guys needs to step up because, Luis Robert and Andrew Vaughn can't do it all. So we need some runs there. We need to keep a little bit of perspective because our pitching has been very good. We've seen them play good in spurts. They just don't do multiple things well at the same time. So hopefully they can get into a little bit of a sync, and hopefully Pedro Grifol can wake these guys up and get them to start playing harder.
Right. I'm hoping for some good vibes back on the South Side because it's not I know we got to the point in August where it was sell the team time and we got those signs out and it's I just want to we're not there yet. Let's go to the ballpark and enjoy yourself if you're going out there and bring some good vibes. Don't be NWI Steve Debbie Downer at this point in the season.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna go out there Saturday. I'm gonna enjoy it and I'm gonna have a good time with my friends, regardless, with you, with Kins, Tony, with all the guys that are gonna be out there. Go out, have a good time at the ballpark, and bring some winning energy there. That's what I ask from the fans. And then
seriously,
on the just baseball side of things, I think Gavin Sheets, this can be a bit. Sure, he wasn't able to redeem himself in this game today. He's going to get plenty of at bats over the weekend because, like I said, I'm not banking on Eloy and Yoan for sure being back in. So that leaves a couple of need for left-handed hitter there, especially if Yoan's still out. He was one of the few that smoked the ball out of guaranteed rate field last year with somewhat consistency. Get back on that plane here, and that will help, resurrect some of the vibes, I think. Just surrounding him, you can get down on your player, get down on yourself as a player in that regard. And then setting off the fireworks for the home crowd, that'll get people cheering and in the right frame of mind. So that's who I'm looking for. And I think if he's in the lineup, I'm going to go with him for a Friday pick the click. We may have to change that around if the lineup does not include him. But if you want to go with one of yours too, just an early prediction here for Friday pick the click.
I'm going to go with Oscar Colas. We need this guy to step up. He had a runner on third with one out and extra innings last night. He couldn't come through. He hit the fly ball, but it wasn't deep enough. He had a 2-out situation in the first inning where we had second and third with 2 out, and he couldn't come through there. So it's time for Colas to step up. I know he's a rookie. I know he's going to go through some growing pains, but that's just not good enough for me. I don't care that he's a rookie. If you're in the lineup, you need to produce. And the bottom of the order, this team needs something from the bottom of the order. So let's go out there, Oscar Colas, and make it happen.
All right. Sounds good. Noted. I got Sheets. You got Colas for Friday's game. And of course, the lineup will probably be something where we have to go and scramble and rearrange. So look for the tweet over at Sox On Tap. Make sure you're following us there and at On Tap Sportsnet on socials, especially go subscribe on YouTube, On Tap Sportsnet. Jump in the comment section. Share your frustration. Share any of your optimism. Whatever you got for us, we'll feature it here on the show and we'll discuss it, talk about it. Unfortunately, this one felt like a 2022 White Sox loss today, but we're hoping for better vibes at the homestand. So if you're going out, help bring it to the park. That's all I've got for this edition of Sox on Tap. We thank all of you for tuning in, and we'll see you back for Sunday Fun Day. Remember, no Friday or Saturday shows this season. So until next time, White Sox forever.
White Sox